Gathering momentum quickly, Nariko's company of warriors was gaining a reputation in northwest Kyushu for their ruthless work against the bandits. Reaching even the ears of the local samurai lords, the name Nariko became a talking point for all those people wishing they too could bring the language of violence into their service. From the desperate outcasts and principled youths of the peasantry, to the men calling the shots from the increasingly undermanned pirate base, all were wondering what impact the strange woman warrior would have on their lives.
And who was it that told you about these pirate hunters?
The ones that get away, ain't it?
What's that, one bloke?
A few. Enough to know we've got a bloody wagon of troubles creaking up.
I don't buy it. What use is a pirate who's scared of pirate hunters? We'll just hunt them in return and pick up all the loot they've been nicking for ourselves.
You first then, mate. No one's managed to scratch on her yet.
Who's this,
The boss of them. Some Ronin broad who's taken to blood work like a fish to the deep.
Come off it, mate. You can't expect me to start quaking about a bird and her cuckolds trying to slip my gizzard.
Then forget the quaking. Think about the sport of it. Catching pirate hunters is how you get set for life.
Oh yeah? How many do-good and sell swords did old boss Kagetora catch then, eh?
Bumper catch more than you, mate, that's for bloody sure. Look, I don't have time for your whole routine today. Just say it proper. Are you going to help me round up these sharks or not?
Well, since you put it so pretty and polite like, maybe then I will. I'll round up a few likely lads to sort it.
Get more than a bloody few. They're saying there's like 50 hunters with the big girl.
50? Should have said that before. Wouldn't have started planning to out you as a softie the moment you started yammering.
50 hunters, 50 rewards. Think of it that way. Big effort, big catch. Let's get some heads together. Hello and welcome back to Nariko's Treasure. Nariko at the moment is on the trail of yet more pirates, hoping to get whatever equipment she can off them and of course gain the experience of combat with the pirate forces. But these pirates, as we chase them north, lead us towards the site of another clan battle. It looks like it's a fight between the Raizoji and the Otomo. The Otomo must have invaded. The Raizoji have deployed an army to try and defend their territory, and Nariko's going to get involved, taking the side of Lord Arima, the same Lord Arima who rebuffed Nariko when she went to Nagasaki to try and get help against the pirates. So now she can gain a little self-confidence and a little self-satisfaction by coming into battle with a force that massively inflates his own strength and showing that she really is the woman warrior she claimed to be. So for this fight, it seems we have the advantage of terrain. The Raizoji force is going to advance out onto those plains to face the Otomo down there. But we are going to stay on this hill because, of course, Nariko's forces don't really need to take part in clan warfare. We're really here just as tourists, as warfare tourists of a kind, to see what's going on and to gain battle experience by just acting like a mercenary company. So we're going to hang back and use our ranged weapons to see if we can provide some support so they can't say we're not doing nothing. Unfortunately, we're outside the effective range of most of our missile weapons, so we're not really going to be having an impact, but we don't need to have an impact. You can see very quickly the two forces clash and it immediately becomes a confusing mess. There's no real way to fire without knowing we're going to hit one of our own forces, so instead I decided to go in close with Nariko and leave most of the forces behind, although you can see I'm ordering them to move up a little closer, not into the fight though. So as we come in, it's just a chaotic mess. Nariko makes a slashing attack at one of the men towards the back who surely must have been an enemy, and he goes down. As I go in for another pass, the enemies are basically gone. I almost attacked one of my allied officers there, in fact. It's all over already, so that was quicker than I expected. The Raizoji forces have completely destroyed the Otomo, with much smaller losses on their side. And we've also now gained a little bit of reputation with Lord Arima, so he likes us a little bit more, which may or may not help us in the future. More interestingly, a huge number of the prisoners that were being kept by the Otomo army, apparently, have asked to join our force, so we now have the opportunity to get a large number of trained troops into our party for free. This is going to be a massive help to us. Nariko-chan, one of their officers to see you. Oh, okay. Hope he's not mad. At least it's not Lord Arima.
Madam, thank you for coming for us.
Well, it wasn't my idea or anything. We were just here to help.
If you wish to help, then please grant us this one request. Take us with you.
But shouldn't you return to Lord Arima's army?
We've risked our lives for that imbecile enough times. There is no honor in serving a disgraced man. But we've all heard of you. We agree that the path of the warrior is better walked with noble intent than noble names.
Are you sure? I mean, we're not really...
What she means is welcome aboard. Thank you. I'm not sure of your titles. What clans are you from?
Well, forget the titles. We'll explain it all later. You should get your boys moving before Arima comes and looks for his toys.
Quite right. I'm liking you more already.
With my numbers now inflated, I felt confident in going after a nearby pirate band with 17 members, so we now have more than double their troops. Should be easy enough to fight them and gives us a chance to test out the new troops in combat. So I'm going to form up on this hill, a very hilly battlefield today, and we can have a look at a few of the Raizoji troops now in our force. This guy's got a giant hammer, some of the officers very heavily equipped as well. We've also got a couple of cavalrymen who are going to be following me throughout this battle. There's a retainer here, there's another one behind me, and they're both armed with lances, making them very powerful at charging down enemies. But on this hilly terrain, they are unfortunately going to be all but useless because it's so hard to build up and maintain the speed you need to do a cavalry charge. So this is going to be a more scrappy battle. I'm going to take these cavalry around the enemy's flanks as they advance on my main position and try and use this Chinese polearm I've equipped to hit the enemies. And you can see it sort of works as intended, where it's so long that they'll swing at you, miss, you swing at them, and you hit. So that's pretty useful. It's not particularly powerful and it can't bring down enemies right away, but it gives me a nice advantage from horseback. So the battle is very rapidly coming to a close actually, as our forces just cut down the enemy mostly at range. They failed to get up the steep hill towards my melee line, and my gunmen and bowmen cut the enemy down. One enemy there gets a hit on me and then swinging for me hits one of my officers, the Raizoji officers, off the horse. I believe he was killed by that strike, so that was unfortunate. He was just too eager to get in there and didn't realize the strike was already being made. So that brings an end to the battle, and we actually lost 3 soldiers in this little skirmish. The officer I just mentioned, we lost a run-in somewhere, and one of our regular soldiers in the main line. So I was so confident that with our large party that would be no problem, but we're taking losses, so we can't be so brash about going in for attacks like this. Now shortly after, I came across another battle we could observe. This time, it's Lord Ito of the Otomo clan fighting Lord Arima, who we just helped. He has a gigantic advantage and will definitely win even without us here. So for this battle, I'm just going to sit back on a hill and observe the action, especially because we don't want to go into battle against Lord Arima with forces that used to belong to his own clan. I don't think that's really the done thing. So I started waiting at the back and just watching the fight, but the fight actually took place out of eyesight on the other side of those hills. So I just left my forces behind to do nothing, maybe fired the odd arrow in the vague direction of the battle. I went in myself to have a look, but actually the fight was already over when I arrived. The Otomo forces absolutely annihilated the Raizoji army. It was much smaller and they had a downhill charge on their position, so it went very well for them. So that's the end of that fight. Our relationship with Lord Ito is going to be slightly advanced because of that, and we're going to get a little bit of loot since we took part in the battle, and we actually get some great samurai gear. So we're really starting to up the level of equipment that Nariko has, making her look the part and be more powerful in battle. So this is all great news. Jumping ahead now to some time later, we travel back to Nagasaki to sell some goods and do some more work, and now we're once again finishing off a small band of pirates near the city. Down they go, that's the last one, leveling me up to level 7. You can also see here how I've now re-equipped Mari with superior gear, handing down the gear that Nariko no longer needs since we found new gear to make her powerful as well. So I thought we'd take a little look at the level up situation. You can see I've been storing up a lot of the skill points that you gain from leveling up. This is because in order to advance some skills, you need to have your base attributes reach a certain level. So I'm somewhat saving skill points in order to get more intelligence-based skills later on in the game right now. So with that put aside, I realise we're probably powerful enough to make an attempt at the pirate hideout now, and since we happen to be there, let's go in and give it a go. We need to get that treasure and kill any pirates who try to stop us.
You're not going to tell them?
They don't need to know.
But they might die for your damn treasure. Yet they still volunteer without knowing about it, so clearly they have other things worth risking death for. If they find out about all this, it's over. No, it's fine, seriously. Treasure or not, we're about to do some good. Well, if you won't tell them, then all this isn't as good as you say it is. Don't even think about telling them. I can't let you do that. Heavens, you wouldn't hesitate to kill me to stop one of your own followers from stealing your treasure. And I thought you hated banditry. Mary, be quiet. If I find the treasure, I'll tell them, okay? It's not mine to share, but maybe I'll think about dropping your debts to me. You still remember that, huh? Probably thought of little else. Look, how about this? Don't listen to me, let the men believe whatever they want, but at least bring up the rest of them to storm the place together. No, how many times? If we attack in force, they'll bolt with the treasure. We want them to stay and fight. We've got enough here. You don't even know how many pirates there are. Not enough to stop me, I know that. Now check your matches. Everyone, you all know what you have to do? Good. Think of the lives you wish to save, the deaths you wish to avenge, and know that the destruction of this den of piracy will make it all a reality. Hold back your mercy. They lost their right to it long ago. Ready? Then let's go! Kill them! Kill them all! Nariko.
So it's time to begin our attack as Nariko leads a small team of her people to try and take down the pirate base. The pirates are firing at us with guns from down near that cave. I'm going to try and return fire, managing to get a pretty lucky hit from up here actually. But now we're going to have to get down to closer range in order to take them out. So we're going to advance across this very open terrain, hoping the enemy just don't hit us as they are still firing. I take a hit on my armor, losing a decent portion of my health, but I can continue. And unfortunately I interrupt my reload, so I can't return fire very easily. I stop a second to allow my skirmishers to keep firing, but I realise that Mary's been hit again and is wounded, rolling down the hill there. But there's no time to stop for her, we need to keep pushing in. I fire another shot, too inaccurate, it's going to miss. We lose 2 more men as I waited to reload, so we really need to rush in. There's no sense in waiting for this attack. I initially thought maybe we should just call off the attack, but the game tells me I cannot leave, so perhaps we are already surrounded by pirate forces and need to fight our way out before the rest of our forces can arrive. So we'll just have to do our best. I'll leave those wounded behind and charge in against the pirates. There's no sense fighting at range when they're just going to be gunning us down one by one. And my skill at firearms isn't particularly high, so I can't hope to have superior accuracy at long range and snipe them down. So we're going to charge in with my men following. I'm sort of hoping the men will be a distraction so I can sneak up here on top of these rocks to get a really good position on top of the enemies. We gun one guy down at close range instantly and then jump in with the sword to finish off the other. He pulls out his massive cleaver to fight with me, but another one appears from inside that tree and we'll have to cut him down as well. Turning around, we see the guy is defeated by one of my allies, so that's fantastic. Another pirate appears and gets a hit on me. I'm almost dead now, actually. Without that armor, I would be dead. Luckily, the samurai armor I found recently is really helping out. I don't see any more pirates, but there are definitely more out there. I heard a few shots as well, so I'm pretty sure some ranged attacks are coming in. I think they're right behind this tree. In fact, you can see them moving around behind it. So I'm going to sneak in, and as I get really close, I realize they're right there. A little bit too late. Luckily, the first enemy doesn't go for me. He goes and cuts down one of my allies. If he'd slashed at me right then, he would have killed me. But we're going to continue in against him, and we managed to take him down in melee. Multiple pirates now appear next to this small building, many of them firing, luckily missing me. I'm going to duel with this pirate who has a long naginata. If I can get in close, I'll have an advantage against him, but at distance, of course, he can outreach me and slash me easily. Luckily, we managed to beat him without taking any more hits. But we're in a bit of a dire situation. My team has been taken out. Someone surprises me from behind there, but luckily I turn just in time and hear him coming in. So he goes down as well, but there are still plenty more pirates on the other side of this building. I don't know that quite yet. We need to scout out. So I take a peek around. I see there's like 3 or 4 more right there, including one who's about to come around the corner. I try to prepare my polearm to push him back, but he gets a hit on me and I fall to the ground wounded. It tells me that the pirates actually just fled. I guess my reinforcements moved up and they fled, taking the treasure and whatever loot they had with them, and the pirate base disappears entirely. So we have failed. Nariko and Mary both wounded, a couple of other soldiers wounded, a couple of soldiers killed in the failed attempt at that attack. What we can do now is attempt to replenish our forces, find more volunteers to join our little band, but we'll need to find where they've moved the pirate base to if we're going to stand a chance of having another go. But also, perhaps we simply need to improve our own personal abilities in combat. I've been focusing so much on improving non-combat abilities that perhaps we just just aren't powerful enough to lead the small assault you need to make against pirate bases to be successful, since it's so dependent on you as a leader's own personal combat ability. Especially, I'm thinking I want to upgrade my abilities at using firearms so that we can take out a few enemies before we actually charge in, stay in cover to begin with, kill a few of them and then make the attack to soften the enemy up. So we're going to need to practice. Luckily I can join this massive battle against some pirates and local clan forces, going to easily overwhelm the enemy, so a nice little training project for us. Shortly after, I decided to head east to look for more volunteers in the Otomo provinces around Hakata, Nariko's hometown, but it seemed the whole area had been devastated by war. The villages around the city were either in the process of being destroyed by hostile armies or had already been destroyed, so that meant there was very few hands available for joining parties such as mine. But I did encounter a clan battle. The Rosoji and the Otomo are fighting the Rosoji, having a gigantic advantage. I decided to sit in on the battle and just not really take part in it, since I didn't feel like putting myself in so much danger after the close call against the pirates. We're just going to fire from a distance because those lucky hits we get are going to improve our firearm skill, which is exactly what we need right now, and we don't really have any business taking part in these clan battles anyway.
Got a damn hole in my shoulder, but I still shoot pretty good. Yeah, sorry about that. Don't be sorry. My stupid fault for following you. You don't have to stay. No one does. After what I got you into, you'd be justified in taking my head whenever you pleased. Whoa, Nariko-chan, you have it wrong. I don't know what you've been imagining, but we aren't here just for pleasure. Sure, people want to punish the pirates, and sure, I want to see that you-know-what. But it's not like we all think it's just a little thing we'll get done without any trouble. But what if it's impossible? What if the trouble is just death for no reason? It would all be my fault. It's not like that at all. It's possible, really possible. And you want to know why you can do it? Look at these men. Look at me. If I thought you weren't worth something, I'd have bolted the moment you gave me that 100 mon. But you know, there's something about you that makes me feel at ease. And I think the men see it too. I don't know what you mean. A good cause, a confident leader, at least a usually confident leader, a chance to settle grudges and help your comrades do the same. Damn, you don't know how many times I'd have to get a piece of me shot off before I stop thinking that's something worth sticking around for. Mary. Whoops. Look, boys, your loyalty has the boss in tears. You better apologize to her. We've got your back, man. Don't beat yourself up. We'll get those stinking pirates next time. I'll do whatever it takes. I ain't giving up so easily. Come on, a cheer for Lady Nariko. After some more searching, I was able to find villages with volunteers willing to join my band. So now our numbers have inflated. We've got a lot of inexperienced villagers among us, but soon that will be sorted out. We need to find them some combat experience. I spot some pirates fighting with some clan forces over here, so I'm going to go in and take them out and help out the clan forces while we do it. There are only 2 enemies on the field, so obviously we don't need to be here, but we're going to rush forwards and try and get the experience for ourselves. So we get a nice level up to firearms, getting that kill. Some of the clan forces rushing in to try and get the glory of taking out the other pirate, but unfortunately for them, I'm able to sneak in and get the final hit, leveling up my polearms as well, so that's fantastic. I noticed that their lord, Matsuda, has the sort of heavy armor that I think I could quite use to help with my assault on the pirates, which we can buy if we get enough money. We can purchase such heavy sets of samurai armor, but it's very, very expensive. Now, while heading north, I actually discovered the new location of the pirate hideout, not very far from its old location, which I guess makes sense. Don't want to move it too far if you're shifting all that stuff. So now we know it's there, we just have to continue with stage 2, which is preparing for the assault once again. I come across another clan battle. It seems the Shimazu invasion force, led by Lord Tanegashima, is being heavily outnumbered by the Rosoji defenders, so I'm going to step in once again and basically just watch. We don't need to take part in the battle, but we can just take pot shots at some of the Shimazu forces without offending either side, basically. Interestingly, the battle takes place in heavily mountainous terrain, so first we have to go up these small paths to try and reach some form of flat area. On top, there are a few areas suitable for fighting, and we're just going to set up at the back and, as I said, snipe towards the enemy forces far away. Pretty hard to see as well from here.
Many of the villagers we brought along are very enthusiastic. They're trying to throw stones across this chasm to damage the enemy. Not really going to do anything. I don't think any of our ranged attacks will do much here. I get a lucky shot firing into a blob of enemy troops. Gives me 2 more levels up for firearms, so that's great, but not much else going to happen aside from that. Now after the battle I found another band of pirates to attack, and the Rasoji forces actually come and help me against the pirates, so it seems they've changed their tune from earlier where the Rasoji refused to help me take out the pirate threat. Now they are very eager, and as I set up my men on the side of this cliff to receive the charge from the pirates, the Rasoji forces just charge right in. They have absolutely no qualms about just going headlong against the pirates. They're not going to use the terrain to their advantage at all, but their choice. I'm just going to sit back and let them claim the experience. I'm not going to risk my men where I don't need to. Just like the last battle, we're going to be engaging the enemy at such long range that our missile attacks will basically do nothing. I get a nice lucky shot there and get 4 more levels up. Very good, but yes, unlikely to be doing major damage here. And the battle very quickly over as the Rasoji forces just charge in and finish off the enemy. So I then continued moving east and encountered another pirate band. This time it's just me against it, so finally we're going to get a chance for some real experience. And the terrain favours me again. I can set up on this hill that we've started on, and the pirates will just run at me, so we'll prepare to receive them, and it's going to be really easy to cut them down. You can see all the archers just bombarding the enemy with arrows as they come up in single file for some reason. Nice and easy to target and kill these enemies, and you can see on the right there already some of the enemies just fleeing. They're abandoning their attack as they realise that this just isn't going to happen. An annoying aspect of the game is that fleeing enemies do actually trigger another battle once the battle is over, so you have to still fight them. So I need to chase down fleeing enemies and take them out basically, and there's one. There he goes. Easy enough. All this fighting starting to pay off as I now have a level up to apply, and I'm able to get to intelligence level 15, unlocking some new skills for me to upgrade. I can get level 5 surgery and level 5 trainer, both important. Surgery prevents some of the men in battle who would have died from dying, and they become wounded instead, which means your party is much better at surviving long campaigns. And trainer, as I mentioned earlier, allows me to train the low level members of my party up to my level at the end of every day, so giving them a little bit of experience each day until they reach my level. So we're not very high level ourselves, so we can't do it to most of our party, but slowly but surely those villagers among us are going to become real soldiers thanks to Nariko's guidance. For the next month, Nariko led her warriors all over Kyushu, tracking, catching and destroying bands of roaming pirates and bandits. In the many skirmishes that took place, she kept her troops in good order, mimicking some of the military formations she had picked up from her time observing the wars between the samurai clans. Against opponents who put little thought into strategy, it was more than enough to ensure victory would come at little to no cost every time. The heat of these battles turned her followers into a hardened force, and her own abilities with the cumbersome yet powerful Western firearms flourished. Her sharpshooting was starting to make her hunt even easier. Her achievements did not go unnoticed. Nariko gained quite a reputation around the island, now known well to the samurai and even better to the common people she served. Her courage, generosity and sense of honor soon paid dividends when she returned to her hometown of Hakata to meet with the master of the guilds, the owner of the land upon which the ruins of her father's blacksmith still lay. Because Nariko's managed to gain a reputation here in her hometown of Hakata, the guildmaster is willing to sell us land to start up our own business, and Nariko has one thing on her mind: we are going to rebuild her father's blacksmith. Unfortunately, it seems the local markets aren't so favourable. The cost of iron needed to manufacture tools from the blacksmith is extremely high, meaning we're unlikely to make any money from this business venture. But that, of course, is not something to put Nariko off. We still want to try. The problem is she doesn't have the startup capital needed to actually build it. We need 3,500 mon. You can see I've bought up a load of dyes and just got them sitting there in my inventory. I bought them cheap in Nagasaki, and heading south to Kumamoto I found that there was actually a pretty decent demand for dyes. And I was able to sell them at around 5 times the price that I bought them at. So that makes me a nice profit. And now I do have enough to construct that blacksmith. But before we go founding any businesses, we need to make sure our payroll is okay, because it costs us many hundreds of mon a week in order to maintain our increasingly powerful band of warriors. So first, I wanted to try and find another source of income. I just needed one big score, and one came along right away. I found a pretty large band of pirates roaming around here in northwest Kyushu, so I started chasing them down. So they're only about half of our number, but of course Nariko isn't just here to win, she's here to win with no losses to her own side. She has a responsibility to the troops who are following her to make sure no harm comes to them while they complete their mission. So we're going to do what she has adopted as the standard tactic for fighting these loose bands of pirates. We set up with our archers and gunners to just fire at the enemy as they advance across this rough country, which will be slowing them down. She's also going to take part in this bombardment, hoping to train up her abilities with the musket, and Mari on the end of the line is going to be doing the same. And Mari is actually better than Nariko is right now at the musketry, because the AI is so good at training up its firearm skill, because it's very accurate. But anyway, it seems to be not working quite as expected in this battle, so Nariko has to charge forwards in order to try and distract these men before they arrive at the line, which is where they'll start doing real damage with those big swords. Luckily for us, their morale breaks and many of them start running before they arrive at our line, and the rest are almost immediately cut down in a hail of gunfire and arrow fire from our troops at the back there. I order my infantry to fall back behind the missile troops so that there'll be no risks of them being caught again. Then I start moving to try and outflank the enemy, but I take a hit from one of the enemy's gunners. I'm almost wounded, but luckily my armor once again saves me, so I'm able to continue the fight, being more conservative now. But eventually the enemy started running, and I'm going to use my firearms to continue practicing the defeat of enemy soldiers as they run. So we gain a decent amount of loot from the bodies of that large enemy party, so that's fantastic. Plus we just loot some mon off them, and both Nariko and Mari level up, getting increasingly powerful now, so this is great. So now with that loot, we're going to head back to Hakata, where we can start selling it off to the merchants, and we actually make almost 1,000 mon because of that, meaning now we have easily enough money both to found a blacksmith and to pay the debts we owe to our troops when payroll comes around. So we return to the guild master and re-express our desire to start this blacksmith. The local markets seem to have slightly improved for us. We're now going to make less of a loss than we were a few days ago. The prices of iron and labour are constantly fluctuating, but it seems that if this is going to be successful, Nariko is going to have to find a way to acquire iron far below the market value, but that's not a worry right now. For now, we just want to construct the blacksmith. Apparently it's going to take a week to build, and I also noticed we're almost out of food, so we're going to have a little bit of a holiday here. First I thought I'll just go to the villages and buy some food, but I realized we might as well spend the week just hanging out in the villages and helping around the place, because then we'll be able to get some food from the villagers in exchange for our labor. So a little bit of a break from fighting for the men, and we now just wait for the blacksmith to be completed to see where this new venture will take us. Of all the companies of Ronin wandering Kyushu, Nariko's had become the largest and most popular in a very short time. The 3 ruling clans of the island, Raizoji, Otomo and Shimazu, had all found Nariko fighting at their side and against them. Many of their officers found it hard to believe that a woman without any noble heritage could be commanding the respect of so many fierce warriors. Most confused were the Yakuza of the western Kyushu coastline, who, although successful in preventing Nariko from raiding their supposedly hidden warehouses, had seen heavy losses among their ranks. Yet the allure of black market trade with China and the ease of piracy against the fleets the samurai clans spent little effort to defend made sure that for every desperate commoner who signed up to fight in Nariko's warband, there were plenty more who took up whatever weapons they could find to join the pirates. Of course, Nariko knew it would be impossible to defeat the pirates outright, but recovering her treasure was a goal with a very clear end. Thanks for watching. Nariko will have to come to the rescue as villages start to fall to the power of the bandits in the next episode of Nariko's Treasure.